Welcome to the After the Show movie podcast, brought to you by your hosts Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Cidtalk.
Yes.
Do you like movies about gladiators?
I'm not falling for that. Surely you're not asking me that question.
Surely you can't be serious.
That's for the diehard people. Come on.
Yeah.
No, not the diehard. That's a whole different movie. How are you on this fine New Year week?
I am great. I also like it when Scraps rubs up and down my leg.
We're done with Airplane. We're moving on.
I'm glad that you recognized it.
Of course I do. You talk about it almost every other day.
I even read a book about Airplane.
I know you did. Are we done?
I love it.
That's not the before the after the show discussion, by the way. For the new year, before the after the show discussion will henceforth not include any discussion of the movie Airplane. And before the after the show discussion today was pretty much not eventful. That's how it works, kids. We can't make up shit for you just because you want us to be sitting over here chit-chatting and happy.
Well, I was chit-chatting, but you weren't listening.
Correct. Therefore, there wasn't a discussion. It was a monologue.
All right, let's get on with this. It is Saturday, January the 4th, and this is After the Show, number 872, your weekly movie review podcast, where we will watch a new movie and then review it for you. And then you can go and watch it, or maybe you've already watched it. Who knows?
Completely ignore us.
Who cares?
Well, somebody cares.
All right, it's a 2024 release, this movie. It's Gladiator II. It's on streaming, and it will be soon on 4K and Blu-ray. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 28 minutes from our friends at Paramount, who sent us a copy for review. Cidtalk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie Gladiator II? There
was a Gladiator 1, and this is the next one.
It's not Gladiator 1, it's just Gladiator.
I know the movie joke.
Yes.
It's the guy had a kid, and Russell Crowe, and then now the kid is also a gladiator. I mean, it's really not, it doesn't need to be explained.
No. Oh, it does a little bit, because I said to you when we started to watch this, it's been 20 years since I've seen Gladiator. It's not a movie I've rewatched over the years. So I needed to go and have a look at Wikipedia to understand how it actually ended. There was parts of it I didn't remember.
True, me too.
And one of the big parts was that he had a fight with Joaquin Phoenix in an arena. I don't remember that part.
I don't remember the fight.
Even though that's the main part.
So the lesson we need to learn from this is that in the future, if we're watching sequels, we need to watch the whole movie, not just do a little update. Just watch. We have time.
This movie, also Gladiator 2, has an update in the intro.
Only if you watched it 5 minutes before.
I feel like it wouldn't...
Well, you won't even understand what's happening.
It looks like random images if you have no idea what's going on. If you've never seen one, you would be like, oh, is this scenes from this movie? This is cool.
But what did you think of Gladiator 2?
I thought, okay, Gladiator 2. I'm a big fan of Gladiator 1. Or just Gladiator to its friends. He said he was going to make a sequel a long time ago, and it never came to be. So it's took 20 years. And I wasn't like chomping at the bit for a Gladiator sequel, to be fair. I feel like it does everything it needed to do. And what I have with this one is, it kind of does it all over again.
Absolutely.
There is a slight twist and shift in it. It's nowhere near as good as the original film in my eyes, because this one contains a lot of shoddy CGI. That was my problem. A lot of green screen looking stuff.
So you're just talking about the quality of the visuals. The
quality of the visuals, which, if it's made by the same filmmaker and it's 20 years later, shouldn't it match the original?
I don't think it doesn't match, because I'm not, your opinion isn't definitive. So I didn't think it was that bad. And I think that the city is gorgeous, looks great. Remember back in the day, we were all very shocked and amazed that they redid the Colosseum and we saw all the CGI little bits of how they did it. Well, that was gorgeous. It was just, we have the thing that we call, right, uncanny valley. So when you see a rhinoceros running across an arena with a guy on the back, even though you and I have never seen that, when it's not exactly as your brain is processing that it should be, it looks wrong.
It looks like Pixar were in charge of the rhinoceros a bit. Like, you're looking at it going, well, that's an animated thing, and there's some men running around on a green screen. It detaches you.
Yeah, and the other animals as well.
And what the hell were those monkeys in this movie?
Well,
dog monkeys?
You have to look at Hollywood versus history and see if that's real.
I believe they can go in the file with the monkeys from Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Let's just put them in that.
I didn't think they were that bad, so no, I don't agree.
Yeah. I was hoping that we didn't have that stuff. Well, now I look at it, now I've seen it. It didn't really need the animals. Sharks. There's sharks in this movie. In an arena.
Yeah, I would like to know the...
Also, those sharks, they did look bad. When it panned under the water and you saw a shark, I thought I was watching Finding Nemo for a second.
Oh, I didn't think that, but then I wasn't really focused on them. I think I let that go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to let it go, to be fair.
I did.
Because what's happening is like, are we just trying to up the last one?
Yes.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do, isn't it?
And you said this guy, Ridley, said that he will make a third one if this one's popular. So he's a sellout, man.
He'll be in space the next one.
He's a sellout. And so we're going to have to just assume he's not going for him and Peter Jackson had a conversation and Peter said, look, man, the quality doesn't matter. The visuals don't matter. All that matters is people will come and see your movie because you're you.
I have quibbles with that stuff, but I enjoyed the overall spectacle and story. My favorite part of the whole thing is the way it opens with that big battle at sea. It's like ships coming from the sea to take a big fort over.
Well, the ships are from the Roman Empire and they've been sent out by their stupid, lame emperor twins to conquer yet another city, which it would be on the coast of an African country. They said the name of the city, but I don't know where that will be located, so I'll have to look that up. But that's what we're talking about. Roman soldiers or army coming to take yet another town, city for their, to conquer them.
And that was full on Ridley Scott, get the crowd going, like the music, the setup of it. The slow, like with the ships coming in and putting the things up, and then a big battle ensues. It is a bit like you just mentioned Peter Jackson. It's the way Peter Jackson sets a battle up.
And Braveheart. Yeah,
it kind of wells up slowly, and then it builds to this huge action piece.
And I'll say, to me, it's a bit boring.
To me, that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
I understand if this army's coming, and the chances of our crazy emperors being the villains that they turn out to be, we're going to have to conquer this city. So let's just shorten that a little bit.
Right. And you mentioned that you felt like it was a bit like a soap opera.
Uh-huh.
And I think the first one was also a bit like a soap opera. All of it is.
All of politics is a big soap opera run by people who have absolutely no morals or ethics. That's reality, not fiction.
I did really enjoy the moment. I enjoyed more so the people like plotting behind the scenes more than the action sequences in this one. And it's a lot of twists and turns. You're not sure where people are, on what side of things people are. Maybe you'll guess it before it happens. I did most of the time. Did you?
Not exactly. I mean, I had a pretty good idea where we were going with our Denzel Washington character, but I wasn't sure how he was going to pull it off.
Right.
Or what his motivation was fully. I mean, I had a hint.
Yeah. If you don't know the story from the first one, I feel like you might be a bit lost in this.
I know the first story and I was a bit lost.
Because they did try, didn't they, to go like, hey, when you see this character, let's just cut to a flashback. And you see this little boy is this guy. They tried to do that.
So this guy you're talking about. So we start off with a young man in the city that's being on siege by the Romans.
Yeah.
Of course, our young man is a crazy fighter. And so he gets taken captive and taken back to Italy, to Rome, to the Roman Empire. And he is, as we find out later, turns out to be the son of Maximus, who was the guy from the first one. Russell Crowe. That's who we're talking about. But they don't just tell you that. You just kind of have to, you kind of figure it out, I know, but it's not told. I don't feel like Ridley Scott tells the greatest stories. Doesn't tell stories the greatest way because his mind fills in everything. He was one of those.
Mm.
And so I'm always a little bit confused, but I figured that out. And then that's where we're at.
Yeah, and it's not overly complicated apart from you having to know. And you're right. They don't specifically tell you that, do they? They don't go.
Mm-mm.
They try to.
Not till later.
Well, in that little thing at the beginning, the recappy thing, right at the very end, they kind of show a boy running away. They kind of try to show it, but...
I mean, I guess if we'd been remembering the first movie very clearly or watched it, we would have figured that out, right? We would have known he was his kid.
Yeah. I mean, I knew anyway, just because it was too obvious for me.
True.
Yeah. It's like, and also there's a lot of signposting. It's like, hey, look at this guy. Oh, and look at this kid. Oh, and look at this guy. You know, so I'm like, yeah. I remember that lady from the first one, what's she called? Lucilla.
Mm-hmm.
Had some relations with Mr. Russell Crowe.
I didn't remember that.
Well, I do remember that. So I'm like, odds are this is their offspring. If you're going to write a story.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're a genius movie watcher.
Yes. So I liked the moment-to-moment stuff. I think the gladiatorial battles lacked a bit of something. I don't know. They were slightly boring.
My, okay.
The one with the ships was cool to look at, but then it was turned into like a CG mishmash of shite.
Gotcha.
I didn't mind the rhinoceros one. I thought it was kind of interesting and fun. I didn't like the monkeys fighting at the beginning. I thought that was really... I was like, okay, have we jumped the shark? Oh, no, that's later.
You know, I don't love that phrase because I didn't mind.
No, but it really applies to this movie.
I didn't care. Yeah, but it doesn't because someone's just... I don't know. That episode of Happy Days was no worse or better than any others. And what we're talking about here, the origin of jumping the shark is that Fonzie...
Yeah.
They go on a vacation to LA or wherever they're at, and they have him skiing and jumping over a shark. And so people thought that was like the fall of Happy Days, where if you watched all of Happy Days, it compares to the rest. So I don't like that phrase. I think it's for, I'm not trying to be rude here, but for, you know, the lower common denominator.
That'll be me.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy the moment-to-moment trying to keep you guessing. It didn't keep me guessing, but I did like what he was trying to do with that.
Aye.
I think it's like not as good as the first movie, but the first movie made me feel a lot. I didn't feel anything in this one.
I hear what you're saying.
Did you? Were you crying?
I was not crying.
Were you heart wrenched in any way, or?
I was not.
And you were in the first one, I bet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then that's what happens, right? You get acclimated or anesthetized to the same idea. So in the first one, what do we have? A dead wife and a dead kid and a man who's hellbent on revenge or dying. And so in the process, he'll just fight until he dies, and that's it. He's going to stand up to anyone because he's going to not kneel for anyone, right?
Right.
In this one, we have a man who has a dead woman, and then he's going to fight, and he's going to stand up to everyone because he's not going to kneel for anyone. It's the same fucking story.
Yes, it is.
Like, it's exactly the same story. It's just that the state of the empire or of the city
is different.
That's the only real moving target here. But the idea of fighting against oppression and tyranny and crazy politics, that's the big story. And the way we're getting there is just the same little story over and over. I was really hoping they wouldn't kill the wife in the first 5 minutes. I was like, come on, come on, come on. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I looked at you when I saw the wife and saw him and they were kissing each other. And I looked at you and said, this is going to end in tragedy. I can tell you.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, what happened? You can see things coming in this movie because it's a tale as old as time. It's Roman Empire stuff.
That's a different movie.
Yeah, you've seen Roman Empire. It's always the same story, Roman Empire stuff. Somebody backstabs somebody. Somebody wants to be in power. They have to get rid of the people in power somehow.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it is history. You can't really change it around.
Yeah, I know. So you've seen enough of it to kind of know how the story's going to go. And yes, you're right. There was Denzel Washington's character. It didn't unfold exactly how I thought it would. So I was with that. I don't want to spoil that completely, but yeah, I was with the way it went. And there's a good amount of like people getting chopped up and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you like, you're watching your gladiators chopping people up.
I mean, if you like Star Wars, you might even like there's a chopped hand. And fingers.
There's a chopped head.
True.
There's all kinds of appendages and things. Yeah, so if you like, it's got action, it's got a love story, a little bit. The love story of a man and his mother, I would say.
Don't say it that way.
Not in that way. Not sexual love.
No, she sent him off when he was a child because she knew that the emperors were
she was protecting him.
And now they found each other again, and he wants to hate her, but he doesn't because she's his mother. Yeah.
You can feel it.
It's not a love story, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So, it's not a actual...
no, but in these movies, you never know.
I guess not.
There's none
if
of
it
that.
was Game of Thrones, it might have been that.
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the cast. Paul Mescal plays Lucius. He's our hero.
Fantastic. I loved it.
Did you really like him?
Yes. I thought it was really good. I really bought his sort of like beaten down, angry, but also had it in him to be a leader. I feel like he pulled it off.
He's also very, when he actually has to deliver a speech, he's very rousing. I did feel that.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. He really, he's got his heart behind it. Denzel Washington plays Macrinus. He is an interesting character.
Yep.
And Denzel throws himself into it.
Oh, yes.
It's mustache twirling.
Yes, but in a good way.
And you can tell that he's having fun with it, especially when he's doing scenes with the two idiot ruler guys.
Yes.
Which I can only call them idiot ruler guys because that's what they are.
They're just awful.
We've got Pedro Pascal as General Achaeus. That might be wrong.
That sounds right.
What do you think of Pedro?
I think he did a good job because he's a dude who has probably believed in the city of Rome and the Roman Empire. He now is doing the bidding of these two idiot emperors and literally murdering tons of people along the way. And he's tired of it and he wants to make a change.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't excuse his past behavior, but he's ready to do like a coup. But he's also tired. And I feel like he did a good job of being tired and pissed off. And
also good in the action scenes because he's pivotal in the action scenes, especially that beginning one that I really liked.
I mean, you know me, I'm not a fight person, but I thought the fights in this movie were pretty all right.
And we've got Connie Nielsen, who returns as Lucilia, our guy's mother. And I really liked her.
Yeah. I just think she's just good in general.
Yeah, and she's the one who ties the whole thing together because she's the face that you recognize from the first one. There's also some old guy who gets his throat slipped at some point.
Was he in the first one as well?
He was in the
first one. I think he
one.
was, yeah.
So there was a couple of like, oh yeah, you remember this from the first one?
You remember this guy? Remember this guy? Remember this guy?
Yeah, I didn't write down the two idiots. Joseph Quinn plays Emperor Getter. He's the guy from Stranger Things. And he's also from A Quiet Place Day One, remember?
Okay.
And then his brother was Fred Hettinger as Emperor Kakarilla. They're both idiots. They're these two young... In fact, Game of Thrones did a similar storyline to, when they put the young person in charge who was an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, isn't it? And it happens in real life, over history. They're like, oh, the king's dead now, so here's his son. Oh, his son's a loser. But now he's the king. So what the hell is going to happen? Well, the place is going to go to shit, which is what's happening with these two.
Correct.
Because they're real idiots. Like, they're just drinking. What else do you see them doing?
Whatever drug they're doing, I don't know.
They're definitely doing drugs.
Yeah.
They're very pale looking, sickly looking.
They're very sickly looking, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they played them well. I've got to give them that.
I agree.
Yeah. Directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott has directed some movies. He's directed Alien, Gladiator, Blade Runner, Thelma and Louise, G.I. Jane, The Martian. The list goes on. He's had a massive career. You know him. You love him, probably.
I don't know him personally, but yeah.
He's also Sir Ridley Scott. Did I mention that Matt Lucas was in this movie?
Not yet.
He was the master of ceremonies. I just wanted to mention that. I actually thought he did all right as well.
Sure.
Because he was supposed to be flamboyant and kind of crazy a bit. So Ridley Scott...
And tell them why you're mentioning him.
He's from the Bake Off. Or used to be.
He was on the Great British Bake Off as a host. So yeah, it's a funny...
Yeah.
You're like, what? Because he's a comedian.
Yeah. He made sense because he's in charge of the entertainment which is the gladiatorial battle. So Ridley Scott, back to him. What do you think of Ridley's elderly filmmaker Ridley Scott's work here?
I mean, it's not, I'm going to say this and have a lot of haters, but it's not distinctive, is it? It's not like, it's very functional and it is hefty with, and I like the attention to detail when you're like walking down a long corridor and you see the set and the clothes and the ambiance that he creates. I appreciate that. I feel like that's my favorite thing about him.
It feels epic.
Yes, he doesn't want to skimp on like Denzel Washington's performance and like his clothes and how he's got these golden robes on all the time and he keeps pulling on them and tugging on them. Like not a lot of directors. Well, I mean, it is Denzel Washington, but I feel like that was all the two of them came together. Like this guy needs to be a whole character, right? He needs to really be a character. And I don't know that you get that out of everyone unless you're a guy like Ridley Scott.
I just read a quote by Denzel Washington who said, "I love the Scott brothers. I've worked with them before and I want to work with them before neither of them exist." Tony's gone, right? So,
yeah.
And he did Man on Fire with Tony, which was amazing. And now he's done one with Ridley.
Correct.
So, yeah, he said that everything that the Scott brothers do
was Training Day one of them?
It was not.
Oh.
That was Antoine Fuqua.
Okay.
Yeah. But Man on Fire, I think that's one of Tony Scott's best movies.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. IMDB Reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews on IMDb.
Well said.
End of explanation. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, I've got some for you then.
Okay.
These are the people who give it 1 star.
All right.
And do not like this movie at all.
Okay, they have to exist. They have to exist. There has to be balance in the universe.
First one says, "From the moment those awful CGI baboons entered the arena, I knew this was a disgrace. I can't understand why people keep saying it's not a bad film, but just call it out, please, for the love of God. It's absolutely ridiculous and terrible. It makes the original Gladiator look awful. Don't waste your movie money." That's it.
Okay, fair. I mean, no, I can't argue with people not liking it.
It makes the original look awful.
I don't know how that's a thing, but
I think maybe he's meaning that it kind of taints the original because I don't know. I don't know what he's saying.
I see how people could think that for sure.
Yeah. Second guy says, "Awful script, bland acting, freak show of characters. Pedro Pascal does not suit being a leader of an army. The guy can't even walk the red carpet without getting anxiety. He needs to go back and see his shrink."
Oh my God, rude.
Yeah, rude and personal.
Yeah, who the fuck are you? Come on, reviewer, you're listening right now. Just fess up. Who are you?
And the third guy says, "This movie is absently terrible." Absently terrible.
Oh, absolutely terrible.
Yes.
No voice-to-text error there, probably.
"I tried my very best to like the movie and tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. It looks spectacular, but that's it. There's no other redeeming qualities. It's simply a sequence of good-looking scenes that progress along a timeline with an incoherent plot. You develop no connection to any of the characters. I've no idea how this is getting such a high rating here." So that's it for the 3 movie review people who didn't like it. They all kind of said the same thing.
True.
Extras, we didn't see any because this is the streaming version. Well, let's get to the conclusion on Gladiator 2. I'm going to give Gladiator 2 a 6 out of 10.
Nice. I mean, nice compared to you not liking it. I was assuming you were going to give it a 5. I do like it.
It's over average, but it doesn't hit the heights of the other.
I don't disagree with you. So I'm going to give it like a 7.5.
Right, I'm going for a 6 because I don't do any 0.5
I mean,
nonsense.
I can't help it if you're wrong.
Right. So
nonsense.
It's fine. I'm wrong. Whatever. I was entertained, you know.
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. But I also rolled my eyes quite a lot of times at the silliness. Sharks in the Colosseum.
I can't abide by that.
I would actually cut that scene out. I would make my own cut of this and remove that whole scene because...
Would it be, if Ridley Scott is the history buff that you have established for me that he is, I can only trust you. there could be accounts that someone has written down. As we know, all things that people write in history aren't accurate, that some of them are fabricated. So in 1,000 years from now, when people write about now, it's not all going to be true. Someone could have written down like a bullshit account that the games have gotten so outrageous that they flooded their arena with ocean water and sharks came in and whatever, right?
You know who I think wrote it down? Ridley Scott.
You mean he was there? He is elderly.
Yeah, he is.
Elderly.
He might have been around then. That's our scores and conclusions. Thank you to Paramount for the movie. Next week, we're going to look at the movie Night Bitch.
Oh, my. What the hell?
Night Bitch, starring Amy Adams. You like Amy Adams?
I do love Amy Adams, yes.
Well, there you go.
I mean, what show was it that really pushed me over the edge?
It was very good, that show.
Scars or something? That one. Where
Yes.
she had the...
Sharp something.
Yes.
Sharp Edges?
Can't remember.
I know what you're saying, though. It was on HBO.
Yes.
I really liked it.
It was really good.
Anyway, she's in Night Bitch next week. I don't know what she's going to be, but she might be a bitch.
We'll see. Or not.
Or not. Movie recommendations. I am going with, well, there's a train of thought to these.
Okay.
Number one is Man on Fire, and you can understand why.
Absolutely.
Denzel Washington really on full cylinder with Tony Scott. And the other one is Connie Nielsen, who plays Lucilla in this movie. She was in a movie called Wonder Woman.
Oh, yes, she was.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman.
She was her mother, wasn't she?
She was in the beginning part with the...
right.
Yeah.
And my recommendations for 2025, because as we announced earlier, it's a new year. I'm going through my entire list of movies I've ever seen, starting with the most recent. So everybody keep up. I'll probably repeat this every week. From the most recent, and we'll go backwards in time for this year, just horror movies. Horror movies as defined by IMDb. So I'm going to start with the most recent ones we've watched, and Terrifier movies is right up there because we just watched those. We have Alien Romulus is listed as a horror movie.
Well, I mean, it is.
And Romulus also had the twins and the wolf, remember, as part of the ethos there.
It did, and Romulus is a Roman emperor.
Correct. Yeah. And we have Trap, which was I really enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Maxine, MAXXINE. She is a horror movie maven, and A Quiet Place Day One. So those are the most recent horror movies we've seen, and I'll be going back in time. We'll make our way through the decades of horror movies that I have seen. This is not quality. I'm not telling you to go watch Terrifier movies.
I think most of them are good.
Well, you and I do, but not everyone will. They're very different. Between those five, they're very different. It's just so that you know all the movies I've ever seen, and I'm chopping them up into genres now. And now it's horror. Horror?
Yes. All right, Ascully stuff. I've been playing a new game called, well, it's not new. It's been out for several years. I just picked it up in the Steam sale. And it's called Cult of the Lamb. You've seen me play a little bit of this, I think.
Little.
Basically, what this is if you like Animal Crossing on the Nintendo platforms, it's like a fucked up Animal Crossing. Okay. And what I mean by that is...
That's severe.
It's like an adult version of Animal Crossing. And it's also, if you've ever played the game Hades, it's also like a cross between Animal Crossing and Hades. It's like you're playing two different games.
Okay.
One side of the game is you managing your cult. It's called Cult of the Lamb. You play this cute little lamb who gets different animals to be part of its cult. You get this little village at the beginning that's overgrown with grass. You've got to clear it all out, start planting things, getting food for the flock, all that kind of thing, like Animal Crossing. But then, on the other hand, every day your lamb has to go out into the wilderness to fight things. That's where the Hades part comes in. Okay. So you go out there, you fight different animals and bosses, and you bring loot that you pick up back to make your village better. You can build different things in your village. Now, it's not just building a place for your villagers to stay. It's because you're a cult, it's got crazy things like shrines and altars that you can sacrifice followers at. It gets really bizarre, bloodthirsty. The plot starts to get weird as it goes on. You realize this is not really Animal Crossing, this is fucked up because one of the things it told me to do was it said like to get extra points here, like to make your followers believe in you more, you need to sacrifice a follower and then without their knowledge, all your flock, make a stew out of the follower called follower stew and feed them it. And that will like make them more in your cult kind of thing. So yeah, it has weird stuff going on. So you're like, oh, do I really want to do that? And you don't have to. It's got like these choices. But I was like, I've got to do that. I want to see what happens. And they all loved it, weirdly enough. They were like, this is the best stew we've ever had. There was a few who went and pooped, and there was a few who vomited.
Okay.
But there was a few who really loved it. And then you can go up and you can see the thoughts of each of your flock. Like you can in Animal Crossing. What are your people thinking?
Yeah.
And it'll be like, that stew was really good tonight. I could do with more of that kind of thing. So got to manage the flock. There's also a battling part of it, which is kind of like Zelda. You've got a little sword and you go out and you kill some stuff and you bring stuff back. It's just really, really fun, but it is really messed up at the same time. So that is Cult of the Lamb. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
Well, that's up to you because you're making a meal box.
Quesadilla.
Quesadilla. Very good. And we have leftover tortilla chips from the Christmas time. So we'll be eating tortilla chips for a while. We'll add those to the mix.
And what is your advice? And let's get out of here.
My advice is not advice. I'm just going to tell you something. So get ready, kids. Kids in grown-up outfits. Grown-up skin suits, meat bags, whatever you want to call yourself. When you tell me, let's just give you a little rundown here. I'm 57. I'm intelligent, pretty good at a lot of stuff. I'm not arrogant at all. I'm very humble, as you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got a lot to learn in life, and I love learning things. You can attest. You can be my witness. I like moving forward and learning a new thing and doing a new thing as life goes on. I sucked as a student when I was a kid, but I think it's just my personality didn't fit the structure. And if you give me a task to do now and learn new things, I'm all about it. But if you tell me that I need to be coachable, it's because you want me to keep doing the same thing the same way so I can preserve your way of doing it so you feel important. So you feel like you've passed along this exact same cookie cutter information and then I have to just replicate it like a fucking photocopier so that you can feel important. You know, that has no value to me. Telling me I need to be here and slump my shoulders and listen to everything you tell me and do what you tell me and everything you advise because that's what you've learned from someone who taught you, who taught them, blah, right? Here's what you do. If you inspire me to learn new ways of doing things, to find new solutions to the same problems, because that's humanity, we have the same problems and over, that's how life is. But if you inspire me, either by example or by teaching me to find new ways of doing everything, not your way, not the old way only, but combine all of that and then surpass it and go beyond it so that you're kind of no longer relevant other than planting the seed of, well, here's a X, Y, and Z way we have done it. It's not the only way, but it's a building block for you, right? So you become less important in the whole story. I get that. And that's what people are afraid of. You want to be the important one to pass along this big chunk of ancient information and feel like you've done something. Well, how about if you're just a very tiny part of making everything better? And that's what I get from you. That you want everything to be better, regardless of what part you play, by not telling me I have to be coachable or controllable, right? Now you have value to me. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
Did you grasp what I'm saying?
I did. Coachable.
Not coachable.
Not coachable.
But then, if there's an example, like say we watch some bikers who do biking, like professional bike racer, bicyclists, right? Now, coaching them on methods of getting their body and their mind in order to be able to win races. Fair enough that they need to absorb that information. But guess what? The information they're being taught now is different from what bikers learned 100 years ago or 50 years ago. And they also learn their own ways and their own methods of kind of fitting it into who they are and their life and still succeeding, so that their coach is just a tiny part of the whole of their story of success. So there's your sports connection to coachability.
Thank you, Cidtalk.
Sure. Anytime.
Well done, well done, well done. All right, you can catch this podcast at ascully.com. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are the places you can go to catch us on social media. I'm Ascully, she's Cidtalk. You can go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or YouTube to listen to the podcast. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk. She doesn't want any of your emails.
Not true. You can. I'm going to say think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone's doing it for you, my dear.
And I'm going to say stay classy, elderly filmmaker Ridley Scott.